Namaste, a very happy evening to all my dear students, teachers, and the school administrative department. We welcome you all to our Science Vidya Shakti session. My name is Ashwita Malnad and I'm your science tutor. Dear students, how are you all doing? How was your day? Good. Great. Nice to see all your messages. Dear students, in the last session, we were discussing about atoms and molecules. Hope you all remember. So, where were we? What were we discussing about? Good evening. Good evening. I'm getting a lot of good evening messages, really making my evening very good. Well, so dear students, in the last session, quickly getting into the topic, since we are heading towards a very important part of this particular chapter. So, post completion of this chapter, I shall be sharing with you some of the important points from the exam point of view. And I request all my students to take a note of it. ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ನಾನು ಕೆಲವೊಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಈ ಪಾಠದ ಏನಿದೆ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದಂತಹ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಐಲ್ ಬಿ ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಐ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಅ ನೋಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ರಿವಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ವಿ ವರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್. So, as we all know about the concept of atomic mass, the same concept can be extended to calculate the molecular masses as well. So, the molecular mass of a substance is the sum of atomic masses of all the atoms in a molecule of the substance. So, ಈಗ ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತುವಿನ molecular mass ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ molecular mass of one particular substance is equal to the sum of atomic mass. ಎಲ್ಲ atomic mass ಏನಿದೆ ರೈಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ am the sum of this atomic mass ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ನ ಸಮ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಅಣುಗಳ ಒಟ್ಟರಾಶಿಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಏನ್ ಯು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ? ವಾಟ್ ಡು ವಿ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವೆನ್ ಐ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು? ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್. ಯು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಇಫ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ದ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಮೀ? ಅಥವಾ ನನ್ಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀರಾ? ನೀವ್ ಬಿಡಿ ಜಾನ್ರು, ನನ್ಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ H2O. ಸೊ H2O ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗ್ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿತೀರಾ? ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾಥ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಕೊಟ್ರು ಅದರ ದತ್ತಾಂಶವನ್ನ ಬರ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ. ವಿ ರೈಟ್ ದ ಗಿವನ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಟಾಪಿಕ್. ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ದು ಗಿವನ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ದು ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ನಾ ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕೋದ್ರಿಂದ 1 ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಯು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ದು ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ 16U. ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ 1U ಹೆಂಗೆ 16U ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಹೇಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ? ಎನಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ? ಹೇಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Yes, I want this class to be very interactive. I want you also to interact with me. Can you all hear me? ನನ್ನ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಹೇಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ದೇ 1 ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ದು 16 ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds time. Meanwhile, please discuss amongst yourself and note it down. Chat box ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿ. Any answers, students? Proton plus neutrons. Very good. MDRSK Beltur gave the answer. As well as number of protons and neutrons ಅಂತ ಯರಗುಡಿ ಬಳ್ಳಾರಿಯಿಂದ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಂಜನಗೂಡು TGRS ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ 12 ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಎಸ್. ಸೊ ಈಗ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಸ್ಕೇಲ್ ನಾವ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಕಂಡು ಹಿಡಿತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದು -12 ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ 12 ಖಾಲಿ +12 ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಬೈ ದ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಬಂದು 1 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಬಂದು 16 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಈ ಮೂಲಕ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ 1/12 mass of a carbon. From that we get to know the atomic mass unit of a particular element. Okay, by taking 1/12 of this mass, we arrive at the value of 1 atomic mass unit. 1 U is equal to, you're taking 1/12 of the mass. ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. So as I was explaining you, hydrogen 1 atomic mass unit ಇದೆ, and then oxygen 16 mass unit ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಈಗ H2O ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಫಾರ್ಮುಲೆನ ಹಾಕೊಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕಂಟೈನ್ಸ್ 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 2 mass of hydrogen ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ಲಸ್ 1 unit of oxygen ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 2 ones are 2, 16 ones are 16, 16 plus 2 ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ, 18 atomic unit ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So this is how you can derive the molecular mass. Similarly, ಈಗ H2O ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, now let us do with HNO3. So ಇದನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು, 1 hydrogen plus nitrogen ಬಂದು 14 ಇರುತ್ತೆ, 14 ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಬಂದು ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ, 16 ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 16 into 3 ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ, 48. I would treat here 48. Okay. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟುಗೂಡಿಸಿದಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ, 8 4 12 12 1 13 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 4156 63 ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್. ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗ್ತಾ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ತರಾನೇ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So formula unit of mass is also calculated in the same manner as we calculate the molecular mass. But ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, we use the word formula unit for those substances whose constituent particles are ions. Ions ಬದಲಿಗೆ formula unit ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. For example, sodium chloride has a formula. ಏನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಕ್ಲೋರೈಡ್ NaCl ಅಲ್ವಾ? its formula mass unit would be 1 into 23 plus ಇದೆಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಕ್ಲೋರೈಡ್ 1 into 35.5 is equal to ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೇಮ್ 23 ಇಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 35.5 ಇರುತ್ತೆ. If you do a addition, simple addition, you get 58.5 unit atomic mass unit. Okay, so this is how we see and understand about this particular topic or chapter. Clear? So Chitradurga school, very proud of you. Before me answering only, you gave the answer. As well as similarly Yarenahalli Chitradurga school, you're very way ahead. Thank you for all your responses. Now children, this was about this particular chapter. But this atom and molecules chapter, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರ next chapter ಏನಿದೆ, so these two chapters are very important from the exam point of view. So what I have done is that ಈ chapter ನ ತುಂಬಾ important ಆಗಿರೋ part ನ I have put it in the form of a summary note. Me directly giving you a multiple choice question ಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಮ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಗುರುವಾರ ಅಲ್ವಾ, Thursday. In the next class you'll be having a test on atoms and molecules. Kindly expect the test for this particular chapter on Thursday. Before that, I request you all to write a summary points on this particular chapter. There are few summary points which is very important for you all to note down. Before that, please give me a heads up. Can you all see the board or should I increase the font size? ಈ ಸೈಜ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಥವಾ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ? Last bench students, can you please give me a heads up? Can you all follow this font size? Should I increase it? I have to increase. Thank you. I shall do that. Okay. This seems to be really heavy. Hope you will be able to follow. Okay. First one. Let me dictate it for you. During a chemical reaction, please write quickly. During a chemical reaction, the sum of the masses of the reactants, the sum of the masses of the reactants and products remains, reactants and products remains. KGF school, way too ahead, very good. Unchanged. And this is known as the law of conservation of mass. This is known as law of conservation of mass. I repeat, during a chemical reaction, the sum of, during the chemical reaction, the sum of the masses of the reactants and products remains unchanged. This is known as the law of conservation of mass. This is known as law of conservation of mass. Second point, hope you all noted down the first point. Second point, in a pure chemical compound, elements are always present in a definite proportion by mass. In a definite proportion by mass. This is known as, any guesses? Any answers? In a pure chemical compound, elements are always present in a definite proportion by mass. Okay, this is known as answer alle ide. Point alle ide answer. Can anyone guess, children? In a pure chemical compound, elements are always present in a definite proportion by mass. This is known as, very good, MDRS Mupka school, law of definite proportion. This is known as law of definite proportion. Please make a note of this. All of you, are you able to follow? ಬರ್ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ? Okay. Can I move ahead to the third point? At any point of time, if you have not taken note of any point, please let me know. I shall repeat it for you. Clear? Next, third point. Very good, Belagola school, Balki school, Nanjangud school. Good. Next, third point. An atom is the smallest particle of the element. An atom is the smallest particle of the element that cannot usually exist independently, and retain all its chemical properties Note it down. I repeat, An atom is the smallest particle of the element that cannot usually exist independently and retain all its chemical properties. Fourth point, a molecule is the smallest particle of an element. Don't get confused here. An atom is also smallest particle of an element, but that cannot be existing independently. Similarly, a molecule is the smallest particle of element or a compound capable of independent existence under ordinary condition. ಆಟಮ್ ಬಂದು ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ರೆ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಐ ರಿಪೀಟ್, a molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound capable of independent existence under ordinary condition. It shows all the properties of the substance. It shows all the properties of the substance. Yes, noting down. Can you repeat the third question? Child, it's not a question, bulky school. It's the summary points that I'm giving. Anyways, I shall repeat it for you. Students, those who have noted it down, please pause for a while. Here is your friend who would want to take a note of third point. I would repeat. Third point, an atom is the smallest particle of the element. An atom is the smallest particle of the element that cannot usually exist independently and retain all its chemical property. That cannot usually exist independently and retain all its chemical properties. First point, no, no, Nonavina Kere school. You're asking me the first point. We are in the fourth point. Anyways, I shall repeat it for you. Children, kindly pause for a while. Bulky school, I hope you have taken the note of third point. First point, I would repeat here. During a chemical reaction, the sum of the masses of the reactants and products remains unchanged. This is known as law of conservation of mass. ನೀವೊಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಸಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ಸಮನಾಗಿ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್. Okay, we are done with the 4 points, but fourth point, I'll repeat it for you. A molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound capable of independent existence under ordinary condition. It shows all the properties of the substance. It shows all the properties of the substance. Is this fine, students? I have minimized for Hakali school. I have minimized the font size now. Okay. Fifth point. A chemical formula of a compound shows its constituent element, its constituent elements. Children, I'm not teaching here. I'm just giving you the summary points. ನಾನು dictate ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. So teaching of this chapter is done. From past 6-7 classes, I'm teaching atoms and molecules. Now that I'm giving you the summary points so that you'll take a note of it and it will be helpful for your multiple choice question preparation. Clear with this point? Okay, children, kindly pause. We want we have a request for the fourth point. I shall repeat it for the last time now. A molecule is the smallest particle of an element or compound capable of independent existence. A molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound capable of independent existence under ordinary condition. It shows all the properties of the substance. It shows all the properties of the substance. Hope you have taken a note of this point. Fifth point, a chemical formula of a compound show its constituent element. A chemical formula of a compound show its constituent element and the number of atoms of each combining element and the number of atoms of each combining element. This was fifth point. I would repeat the fifth point again. A chemical formula of a compound shows its constituent elements and the number of atoms of each combining element and the number of atoms of each combining element. Sixth point, sixth point, clusters of atoms that act as an ion. Clusters of atoms that act as an ion are called polyatomic ions. Are called polyatomic lions. Sorry, ion. They carry a fixed charge on them. They carry a fixed charge on them. I repeat, clusters of atoms that act as an ion are called polyatomic ions. Are called polyatomic ions. They carry a fixed charge on them. They carry a fixed charge on them. Seventh point, the chemical formula of a molecular compound is determined. The chemical formula of a molecular compound is determined by the valency of each element. Valency of each element. I repeat, the chemical formula of a molecular compound is determined by the valency of each element. The chemical formula of a molecular compound is determined by the valency of each element. Eighth point, in ionic compound, in ionic compound, the charge on each ion is used. The charge on each ion is used to determine the chemical formula of the compound. To determine the chemical formula of the compound. I repeat, in ionic compound, in ionic compound, the charge on each ion, the charge on each ion is used to determine the chemical formula of the compound. To determine the chemical formula of the compound. Ninth point. Hope my voice is audible to you all. Can you all hear me? DBRARS Nonavina Kere School. Children, I'm repeating it again. I'm not teaching the points here. ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸಾರಾಂಶ, ಇಡೀ ಪಾಠದ ಸಾರಾಂಶವನ್ನ ಈ 9 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Thank you, Durga School. It's audible for all others. So if it is not audible for the school Haralahalli, I request you to kindly check with the technical team. Is there any glitches? Okay. ನೊಣವಿನ ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಇಡೀ ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಪಾಠದ ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳ ಮೂಲಕ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Scientists use 9 point. Scientists use the relative atomic mass scale. Scientists use the relative atomic mass scale to compare the masses of different atoms of elements. Different atoms of elements. Atom of carbon -12 isotopes ಗಳನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. Atoms of carbon -12 isotopes are assigned a relative atomic mass of 12 and the relative masses of all other atoms and relative masses of all other elements masses of all other atoms are obtained by comparison with the mass of carbon -12 atom. Mass of carbon -12 atom. Done with this? Ma'am, please repeat the 9th point. Okay, I will repeat it for you. 9th point was scientists use the relative atomic mass. Scientists use the relative atomic mass scale to compare the masses of different atoms of elements. Atoms of carbon -12 isotopes are assigned a relative atomic mass of 12 and the relative masses of all other atoms and the relative masses of all other atoms are obtained by comparison with the mass of a carbon -12 atom. Comparison with the mass of carbon -12 atom. Clear? These were the 9 points that was related to atoms and molecules chapter. ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಅಣುಗಳು ಈ ಒಂದು ಪಾಠಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತಹ 9 ಸಾರಾಂಶದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ. ಸೊ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕು ಮೇಡಮ್, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಐ ಟ್ರೈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಈ ಪಾಠ, ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ದೋಸ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋಟೆಡ್ ಡೌನ್ ಎನಿ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಲಾಗ್ ಇನ್ ಟು our YouTube channel. You can find this video. You can note down the points there. For the student, for the school that was asking us to teach in Kannada, ನೊಣವಿನ ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಅಣುಗಳು ಈ ಪಾಠ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್, ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರಿಯಾವರ್ಧಕಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಉತ್ಪನ್ನಗಳು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಷ್ಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಶುದ್ಧಿ ರೂಪದ ಸಂಯುಕ್ತಗಳು ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಶುದ್ಧಿ ರೂಪದ ಸಂಯುಕ್ತಗಳೇನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ದ್ರವ್ಯದ ಅನುಸಾರವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅನುಪಾತ್ಯ ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆಯ ಅನ್ವಯವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಈ ಮೊದಲ 2 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಏನಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ನಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಪರಮಾಣು ದ್ರವ್ಯದ ಮೂಲ ಘಟಕ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪರಮಾಣುವು ದ್ರವ್ಯ ಕಣಗಳ ರೂಪದ ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಅಸ್ತಿತ್ವ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ನಮ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಸೂತ್ರವು ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳಿಂದ ನಿಗದಿತ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಕೇತ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳಗೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ಸಹ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪಾಠದಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ. So Hunase Kette School, I'm explaining it in Kannada for students who can't follow it in English. Okay. So 9th point, Challakere School, ma'am, we want the 9th point anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. Okay. Those who have not noted down the 9th point, please note it down here. And for those who want to understand this topic in Kannada, ಈ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳ ಗುಂಪೇನಿರ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅವುಗಳು ಅಣುಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯನ್ನ ಆಧರಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೆಸರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 1 ಅಟಮಿಕ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 16 ಅಟಮಿಕ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್. ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ವಿಂಗಡಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಅಯಾನುಗಳೇನಿರ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಧನ ಅಯಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಋಣ ಅಯಾನು, ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಅಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಅಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ನಿನ 1/12 ಭಾಗ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1/12 ಆಫ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಧರಿಸಿ ಪರಮಾಣುವಿನ ತೂಕವನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನಿರ್ಧರಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಐ ಟ್ರೈಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಬೈ ಮೈ ಎಂಡ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಯು ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ. And for those who wanted to take the 9th point, I would repeat it again for you for the last time because we are running out of the time. Scientists use the relative atomic mass scale to compare the masses of different atoms of elements. Atom of carbon -12 isotopes are assigned a relative atomic mass of 12 and the relative masses of all other atoms are obtained by comparison with the masses of carbon -12 atom. So this was the 9th point. Clear? Hopefully, we are running out of the time. I try to complete this chapter with this summary notes in the next class, that is on Thursday. Kindly prepare for this particular chapter for the multiple choice question and certain exam point of question also. We shall solve it there. Hope you understood and this class was informative for you. Thank you so much for all your participation. Have a good day.